It's the most wonderful time of year in crypto land. What Santa got in his sack for all you degens, traders, hodlers, and pump and dumpers? And what has the Grinch come bearing?
One more area that I hope nation states start paying greater attention to is the rise of cryptocurrency.
Ho, ho, ho. Come dive down the chimney with us. Hello and a warm welcome to the Crypto Culture Show from a freezing cold London. We're here to heat things up with the very best crypto chat for currency junkies and culture vultures everywhere. Joining me today is Currency.com's resident crypto guru and the sharpest thing to come out of Canada since Alanis Morissette's kitchen knives. It's John Doe. Hi, John.
How's it going, Tom?
I am very good. Happy to have you with us. And we are also joined by our crypto god this week from Geneva. It's financial expert and the man behind the Swiss Road to Crypto podcast, Didier Borel. Welcome to the show, Didier.
Welcome. Pleasure to be here. Always happy to make new friends in crypto.
Well, it's great to have you with us. And we're going to get straight into the show and take a look at the headlines from the past week. Now, if a week's a long time in politics, it's a decade in the lightning fast world of crypto. John, it's been a hackathon of a week and not really in a good way, right?
No, not at all. We actually had a hack happen with the Bitmart exchange where a lot of meme coins were hacked. And also now the Badger DAO lost about $130 million.
Crikey. Some big hacks going on there. Didier, what about Michael Saylor, the self-styled captain of the good ship Bitcoin? What has he been up to this week?
Well, Michael Saylor was on Fox News on an interview with Tucker Carlson, and Michael Saylor made the compelling case of how every empire has failed in history, and it has been because the rulers just keep printing loads of money to fight wars. So his answer to all this is Bitcoin. Bitcoin solves this.
And I think actually we've got a clip of Michael Saylor in action. Let's have a look at what he had to say.
So you're saying, just to make sure that everyone's following this, the whole point of Bitcoin is to escape the inflation vortex that has consumed all these previous empires?
The point of Bitcoin is to fix the money. And money is energy, and energy is life. And if I keep sucking the energy out of the economy, I'm sucking the oxygen out of your system. Either under the best case, you perform poorly. Under the worst case, I suffocate you to death or freeze you to death. That's the problem. That's why empires collapse.
Love it. Love it. The point of Bitcoin is to fix the money, and money is energy and energy is life. There's very few people who can articulate stuff like Michael Saylor. He's the ultimate Bitcoin cheerleader, but he knows a thing or two about the economy, about finance, and about crypto. And for me, he's one of the best people at bringing outsiders in and really giving them some perspective on what's going on. We also have a meme. I know you guys are going to have seen this. It's an oldie, but a goodie, and sums up the last couple of weeks.
Here he is, in space with Elon.
Wouldn't seem like a dip without MicroStrategy buying more Bitcoin, would it?
No. You have to always admire Michael Saylor because he really puts his money where his mouth is. As soon as the price goes down, he buys some more. So it wouldn't, as you say, wouldn't seem like a dip if Michael Saylor didn't step in to buy some more.
That's it. The only thing I find about watching Michael Saylor is the more I watch, the more Bitcoin I want to buy. So he's that convincing. And finally, in the news this week, there was, of course, a flash crash where Bitcoin saw the open interest lose about $5.4 billion off it. The world's largest cryptocurrency lost just over a fifth of its value at one stage and took its market cap to below $1 trillion. Okay, thank you both. That's the headlines. Time now to see what the big shifts are in the market. And I'm not talking about dodgy Santa's hats and bits of flammable tinsel. No, get yourselves ready for So we're going to start by having a look on chain, and in relation to the last news article, we're going to pull up the Bitcoin futures open interest chart, which shows that 5.4 billion drop from 22 billion to 16.6. That was almost 25% lost in a matter of hours. Now, this could be long or short positions, but if we have a look at our next infographic, this shows the futures long liquidations dominance. And on the right-hand side, the October to December segment, we can see the long liquidations dominance increased, showing us more longs were liquidated compared to shorts. If we have a look at the transfer volume to and from exchanges, we can see again on the far right, there were 3.2 thousand and 2,000 Bitcoin moved onto exchanges. Bitcoin typically gets moved onto exchanges ahead of potential sales. However, this was far less than earlier in the year before the May crash and the price drop, where we saw over 23,000 Bitcoin moved onto exchanges. So what does this tell us? Maybe sentiment is a little bit more positive, and maybe we won't see price action that is going to carry on to the downside. And in our final graph, we can see before the crash, there was a spike in whales moving Bitcoin onto exchanges. Now, was this the precursor to them selling, affecting the price and causing that cascade of liquidations? Quite possibly. I'm going to throw over to John, who's going to take a little bit of a view on the macro and then into the detail on the technical analysis to see how that matches up to this picture.
All right, so I'm going to pull up the Bitcoin chart here, and we're going to look at the longer time frame and then scale things down. And if we're looking zoomed out, you can see Bitcoin did come down here to this 50 period moving average on the weekly chart support. And this is the third time now we are testing this level, and we're looking for Bitcoin to hold this level for this uptrend or the bull market to continue. Now, looking at this daily chart for possible trade setup, you can see Bitcoin right now is sitting right on that 200-day moving average. Typically, we do see a bounce on the 200-day moving average. The last time we did test this range was back here in September. You can see price came down. It even went below the 200-day moving average, but we got a nice bounce after that double bottom, and Bitcoin went on a nice run. So currently right now, we are having a higher low, as you can see, and Bitcoin is sitting at that 200-day moving average. So we have to look for this support to hold at about 46,000. Now, if it does break, then we will see Bitcoin potentially test down towards 40,000, but the upside potential here is pretty good. And if we look at this 4-hour chart in terms of momentum on the upside, if we do get a bounce at this level, we are looking at a pretty good risk-reward ratio. The downside, we have about 5% for that support to break, but on the upside, we have upwards towards 15%. Now, if you look at this last time we were testing a support level like this, it did break down at about 55,000. So now we are trying it once again, but I do like what I see on the RSI and the MACD. It looks like a MACD wants a bullish crossover here on the 4-hour, and also the RSI has a bullish divergence. So momentum is starting to push towards the upside for Bitcoin, and I'm watching $54,000. And that's the analysis for this week. Let's jump back with Tom.
Now, in the ever-changing world of crypto, with over 14,000 currencies out there, it is impossible to stay on top of every single one. So each week, we're going to bring you a new coin, simply explain what it does, and drop some alpha. It's time to look at Coin of the Week. Right, folks, this week's currency is Chainlink. What does Chainlink do? Well, Chainlink integrates real-world data like price, sports, weather feeds into blockchain smart contracts. It's basically a middleware solution. Without reliable quality data, smart contracts, well, they're not so smart, really. And the value of smart contracts, dependent on data being provided by Chainlink, has increased tenfold in the last year, a staggering amount. Didier, what are your thoughts on Chainlink, and what is this telling you?
Well, Chainlink is certainly a project with legs, because they're solving a fundamental problem that needs to be solved. Basically, if you think that all projects and all contracts are going to go digital and on some sort of a blockchain, then somebody's going to have to feed the price into these smart contracts to, to be able to bet, to be able to do all the things that we do now. People behind the project all have a very good track record and a very good CV, and they're all very serious. So, it's certainly a project worth looking at for sure.
And a pretty dramatic increase in the value of those smart contracts, John. What's that telling you from your side?
From my side, it shows the use case for Chainlink. If you look at the real world, we've had technically smart contracts now forever. There's always been a middleman. But Chainlink is that crypto that kind of integrates the real world smart contracts and blockchain smart contracts. And it kind of makes it so data is available to all in both aspects and makes things more decentralized. So I think Chainlink, the value it adds to the crypto space is something that is much needed.
Absolutely. And a final sort of really interesting thing for me is it works across multiple blockchains. So it's not just fixed to one. We know the amount of data that's being created in the world is expanding at an exponential rate. So I think super interesting to see where Chainlink goes in the future and how big a part it's going to play in the whole blockchain and crypto ecosystem. Now, as everybody knows, the world of crypto is prime territory for the spreading of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and we're about to get knee-deep in FUD. Our FUD spreader-in-chief this week is Hillary Clinton, and here she is speaking at the recent Bloomberg New Economy Forum in Singapore.
One more area that I hope nation states start paying greater attention to is the rise of cryptocurrency, because what looks like a very interesting and somewhat exotic effort to literally mine new coins in order to trade with them has the potential for undermining currencies, for undermining the role of the dollar as the reserve currency, for destabilizing nations, perhaps starting with small ones, but going much larger. So when we think about this new environment in which we find ourselves that we've been discussing for the last some minutes, we can't just think about nation states.
So Hillary warning that cryptocurrencies have the potential to undermine the dollar and destabilize nations. I think we've kind of known that for a while. What do you think, and what's your take on this, Didier?
Well, I think she's right. We just don't know how long it will take. Most politicians probably conflate all cryptocurrencies to the same thing, and then with time we'll see which ones are really independent of states and which ones are not. But I think it's a good thing to see that this idea that started with a few Bitcoiners has now percolated its way all the way up to people like Hillary Clinton making this announcement in front of a lot of bigwigs in a Singapore conference.
John, do you think this is a little example of how varied the education around crypto is? Do you think Hillary really gets Bitcoin as in terms of what it does? What's your thought?
No, the thing, I'm gonna have to agree. She's right, but I don't think she knew she was right in the right way. Because yeah, that's the whole point of cryptocurrencies, what she mentioned right there. And it's good that she acknowledged that part, but I think she's seeing it more as a threat than something that will be changing for the world for the better.
Yeah, exactly. And I think actually a lot of nations potentially are going to see cryptocurrency as a stabilizing factor, particularly where they've got hyperinflation. I mean, to me, that's a very uncertain area to work in, and crypto is trying to create more stability, not less, in those areas.
Yeah, she mentioned it'll destabilize the smaller countries first and then move on to the larger ones, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be the smaller countries are going to stabilize, actually, because they're already destabilized from their inflation and things that are happening. So it'll stabilize, and then she just sees it more as a threat than the great potential of it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we've got a meme which pretty much sums this up. Let's have a look. The United States increases the money supply by 40% in a single year. and we blame Bitcoin for destabilizing us as a result of it. Love that.
That's true.
More fear, uncertainty, and doubt next week. But to follow on from that, we're going to talk regulation. And to do that, I'm going to need the help of our crypto god this week. Now, our deity of digital currencies spent 25 years as a bond trader before throwing his weight behind Bitcoin and blockchain and launching the podcast, A Swiss Road to Crypto. A very warm welcome to Didier Borel. Didier, thanks for coming on the show. It's great to have you here. Are you seeing right now that people from what we might call traditional finance, do you feel like there's more of them that are starting to understand and grasp crypto? Do you think we're seeing a wave coming across?
Yes, because I get people who, for the last 2 or 3 years, were very against crypto, who call me and now ask me how they can buy it. I'm not quite sure they completely understand it, but that's sort of normal. Well, the first time I bought it, I didn't understand it completely either. I had the impression that there was something there, and it was interesting enough to me to buy some and then figure it out later. So I'm not blaming them for buying it before they don't completely understand it, but certainly people are warming up to it, and more people are coming in, and I certainly think that this trend will continue.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way, doesn't it? And I think there's more voices becoming more active in the space. We've got a little clip actually of the CEO of Circle, Jeremy Allier, talking to Congress about digital currencies and stable coins and the need to get on top of it. Let's have a look.
The United States and the US dollar is winning the digital currency space race today. Dollar stablecoins are doing trillions of dollars of transactions. The experimental beta of a Chinese yuan, which is government controlled in China, has done $10 billion of transactions. So the United States is winning. This has the potential to grow at a very significant speed around the world and benefit the US dollar and benefit American businesses and households. And so I think that's one really, really critical thing to understand. And I think the primacy of this infrastructure and the development of this infrastructure, it is a strategic national security and national economic priority for the United States, and we need to get going on it right now.
Confident and forceful push about wanting to drive momentum and movement on this. Now, linked to regulation, my sort of question out there at the moment is, how does the SEC or other bodies go about regulating a totally decentralized network? And what are the first steps that they need to take? Didier, help us out.
Well, they're trying to figure it out themselves. I suppose if you're talking about a totally decentralized network, in fact, you're talking about Bitcoin. If you're talking about stable coins, which is what Jeremy Allaire was talking about, then the stable coin is really just a representation of the dollar on a blockchain, mostly on Ethereum, but on other blockchains as well. So I certainly think stable coins will be as regulated as the US dollar is today, and that's sort of normal because all it is just a representation of the US dollar on a stable coin. Bitcoin, they won't be able to regulate. I mean, the best example of that is China, that's tried to outlaw it 5 times now. And so basically after they tried the first time, the 4 subsequent times just showed that they couldn't outlaw it, so that they couldn't regulate it and they couldn't control it. So I suppose it depends which cryptocurrency you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a very good point and a very good differentiation, actually. I almost hear the end of the Jeremy Allaire interview almost as a drive to adopt not just digital currencies, but cryptocurrency as a whole. And I don't know whether it's just how I'm...
Yeah, no, if I might just add, I mean, it just shows that most politicians don't understand the difference, and they conflate all cryptocurrencies as being the same thing. Jeremy Allaire has developed a good business in his stable coins, and he doesn't want the Congress to stop his business. So he's telling them that it's a new field that the Americans can win in and win at, and they already are winning in it. So don't bring us down, is what he's telling them, which makes complete sense from his point of view.
And Didier, in a related question around SEC approval, why do you think that a futures ETF got approved before a spot ETF?
The answer to that was probably given already by the SEC themselves, which is when you ask them the reasons they give for not having approved a Bitcoin spot ETF is because they're not convinced there's enough liquidity in the market and that the market is efficient and liquid enough. So with a futures traded ETF, it's cash settled. So the difference between the price you bought it at and the price the futures contract settles at is paid for in dollars and cash. So that creates better liquidity. So I think that was the main reason why they approved a futures-based ETF. However, ETFs exist in other countries. I mean, in Switzerland, there's one. It's called an ETP, which is essentially the same thing as an ETF. And I think in Canada as well. So Bitcoin, real cash Bitcoin ETFs, ETPs exist in other countries, but not in the US.
Thank you very much, Didier, for that segment. And we will find out next time who's going to be our crypto god. That is the burning question. And talking of burning questions, there's just time for this. Now our crypto wizards can field anything we throw at them, I hope. Let's put it to the test. Our first question is from Mikel in Paris.
Hi. A lot of money has been stolen from exchanges recently. I'm interested to know about cold storage. Is it the way forward?
Didier, I'm going to throw this one to you. Is cold storage the way forward?
Well, I'll have to say yes. Not your keys, not your coins, and that's right. If a lot of money is on an exchange, that's a honeypot that's going to attract a lot of hackers. So, yeah, if you want to decentralize money, everybody has to hold his own. So cold storage, yes.
Cold storage is key. I've got actually a Ledger here, a Ledger Nano S. This is a hardware wallet or cold storage that you can hold your private keys on, which means if you've got the private key, when it is combined with a public key, you can access your cryptocurrency. Just don't forget your logins. Our next question is from Adam in London.
Hi, guys. My question for the panel is, what is a decentralized exchange or a DEX?
Okay, John, let's put you to the test.
So,
can you explain a DEX?
A DEX, or a decentralized exchange, people use it for main two reasons, because it's anonymous and a security. So basically, it's something like Uniswap, SushiSwap, and there's 1inch. There's so many of them right now. And basically, you would connect your wallet to that, like you just mentioned, the hardware wallet or a hot wallet. And then that's where you would exchange your crypto, and there's no login involved or any type of customer information stored. And it's all managed by every single person because it's fully decentralized.
Very good. And our final question comes all the way from Moscow.
Hi, my name is Helene. I would like to know what's the best place to buy NFTs?
Now, I've got a couple of NFTs, so I can tell you this one. The largest and original marketplace, the OG, was OpenSea. That's an Ethereum marketplace. Now, gas fees on Ethereum have become a little bit of a problem. And so Solana has taken a big chunk out of the market with places such as Magic Eden and SolSea. There are also game marketplaces for games such as Axie Infinity, sports ones like NBA Top Shot, and many, many others. Good luck with your NFT purchases. So we will have more of your questions answered by our experts next time. So please keep them coming. You can post them at Currency.com. Thank you to John Doe and to Didier Borel. Join us next week when John will be back, and we'll also be joined by another bona fide crypto god. That is all for now. Goodbye.